The Royal Rumble is 18 days away, and there's a lot to go over, so let's get to it. First off, before we go with anything, this will coincide with our first match, by the way, but I do want to go over the general manager situation. As you know, Paige is no longer the SmackDown general manager, and of course, Baron Corbin was fired at TLC. The McMahons are now in power. Well, all four McMahons, if you count Triple H's one. I guess all the McMahons. Linda's still gone, being small business, whatever. But nonetheless, the McMahons are now in power, which is interesting because you don't really see them on a consistent basis. You know, I mean, Shane being the commissioner of SmackDown, Stephanie being the commissioner of Raw, obviously they're going to be there more than others. But you have that going on, and it's good to see Vince on a consistent basis somewhat for the first time probably in over a decade. You know, not just a sporadic appearance every once in a while, which is good as well. But, you know, just to see him, I want to say maybe 10 years ago is the last time we've seen him like on a week-to-week basis, which is interesting. But that leads into our first match as the SmackDown Tag Champions, the Bar, defend against the so-called best tag team in the world, The Miz, and the best in the world, Shane McMahon. Now, over the past few weeks, Miz has been trying to recruit Shane as a tag team partner, including a hilarious loss against a pair of jobbers, a hilarious win against a pair of jobbers, and an incredible plea by Miz on one of the better Miz TVs of last year. Technically it'd be last year, or this year, or whatever year. I don't really remember if it was last week, so technically it could be this year, I don't know. But nonetheless, using his father as an example, and you know, Shane's father, Vince McMahon, as an example of making them proud in a way, or something along those lines. And of course, Shane, not wanting to abuse his power, said they wanted, you know, to actually earn this opportunity. But Miz went out last night, challenged the Bar accepted, and Shane reluctantly went with it, so we have this match. I am going to go with the emotional favorites, which obviously are Shane and Miz. I'm not going to say the Bar doesn't retain, because that's potentially that could happen. But I don't know. I just want to go see what happens, especially with this team on the road to WrestleMania. They'd be incredible. Next up, Asuka defends against the Man, Becky Lynch. Asuka, of course, won at TLC, ironically against Lynch and Charlotte, and Becky qualified. Began the contender rather for this match in a qualifying match against Charlotte and Carmella last night on SmackDown. Now, for the scenario that I want to happen towards WrestleMania, for that to happen, Becky Lynch has to lose. Meaning, Becky at that point can enter the Women's Rumble, if there's any spots left at that point, or there aren't as many surprise entrances, can enter the Rumble, win the Rumble, face Ronda at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, for that to happen, obviously Asuka has to retain, which is what I'm going for. I'm not saying the Man won't win, but for the scenario to happen, she needs to lose the match, unfortunately. Which leads into our next match, the Raw Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey defends against Sasha Banks. And for this scenario, again, Ronda needs to retain. Or Ronda needs to lose, win the Rumble, and challenge, then Becky Lynch would have to win. But just to make it simple, Ronda would retain, because obviously they're not going to give it to Sasha, especially after they announced the tag titles for the women, which is awesome as well. But, you know, I'm not saying Sasha can't pull off the upset. I'm just saying that with her never retaining the title even once, with the 5 or 4 times she's held it, it makes no difference if she holds it 1,000,000 times or just the time she's had now. She's never going to do it, so do not give her the belt. It's just stupid unless you want to give it to somebody else and that just pot potato it and just give it to that person. But in this case, just let Ronda keep it, let her face the Man, and then just have an incredible match, the match we should have had at Survivor Series in the first place. Now we have kind of our mystery thing in a while of this thing. We have a Fatal 4-Way match for the Cruiserweight Championship as Buddy Murphy defends against Kalisto, Akira Tozawa, and a mystery man, which we determined hopefully tonight in 205 Live. It's either this week or next week. I'm not sure when that's going to be. But it will be Cedric Alexander against Hideo Itami, which should be tonight. I'm not sure. That should be tonight or tomorrow night or next week, whenever they tape these fucking things. I don't know. They're still taping them, I think, and just airing them on Wednesdays. Makes no sense why you're doing that, because that challenge is over. So you just put them back on Tuesdays. But nonetheless, it depends who is in that final slot. If Hideo's in that final slot, I will pick Hideo, just because I want to see Hideo as a champion. But I will go with Buddy Murphy because he won it a while back at the Australia show, and it just makes sense for him to hold the title for a while. Next up, the Eternal Feud, which we will continue to talk about, which we did, I think, the last time we did this, a couple weeks ago. But we'll do it regardless. As Daniel Bryan defends against AJ Styles. Styles winning a qualifying match a couple weeks ago as well. And of course, just Bryan being the conservationist that he is, just calling us fickle. Actually making the belt out of some vegan alternative, which the belt should be destroyed at this point, just because using actual leather on a belt is probably a lot better than a vegan alternative to leather, which is kind of the weird way of fox fur, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm just going with what they said. He used a vegan material, which I don't know what that is. And it's stupid. It really is stupid, because what the fuck is a vegan alternative to leather to use for a belt, let alone a championship belt? You don't want the thing being soggy as fuck. You don't want it to be like fucking tofu based, because that thing will fucking crumple. Like what are you? They didn't even say what it was. That's more interesting than this fucking match. That should be the fucking story of this match. What is the belt fucking made of? But nonetheless, Bryan will retain, and AJ will just do something else at Mania. It's just that simple. When we come back, we will talk about the Royal Rumble matches themselves and the new entries in said Rumbles.